Hey guys, this is the PrinceofMacedon, and I'll be spectating this Empire Total War online battle. The host is Napoleon, and he commands the Austrians, and the guest player is d.simon2 in command of the UK. Alright, we're going to look at the Austrian army of Napoleon first. On his extreme left, he had two cavalry squadrons, and he has 5 units of the Wind Jaegers. Over on his right wing, he has 5 more units of the Wind Jaegers. Then he has 5 more units of cavalry, and they consist of cuirassiers, Uhlans, and Hungarian Hussars. And he's going to put them right in the forest right here. Not sure why he didn't deploy them there in the first place. Maybe he wanted to deceive his opponent. Alright, let's go look at the British army of d.simon2. So his British opponent is very heavy on the heavier infantry troops. So he has lots of line infantry. He even has some grenadiers. And he does have at least one hidden unit of Ferguson riflemen. And that's his army. Then he also has a cavalry force. He has 2 squadrons of life guards, one on this wing and one on the other. Then he has his general unit right here. That's his general's bodyguard. So he has a very conventional type of army, whereas his opponent Napoleon has a bunch of guerrilla type units, mainly the Wind Jaegers. But he does have a huge cavalry component. Alright, so here's Napoleon's Wind Jaegers. They are coming forward here in the constipated manner. When they're walking like that, that means they are hidden. So he's coming on all sides here of his opponent. Now he's going to walk these guys right now, and that's probably to deceive his opponent. Maybe make his opponent shift his forces to his right. And then he's going to strike with his other side here. Alright, so Napoleon opens up the fight with his Wind Jaegers, launching some volleys into the right flank of the British army right there. And d.simon's going to respond by launching his life guards on his right into the Wind Jaegers on Napoleon's left here. It's a pretty sound move if you can catch these Wind Jaegers off guard here, which it appears that they are a little bit off guard. So he launches his cavalry right into them. But if you look at the British flag here, it would appear that the life guards are wavering in their attack. So it looked like a good idea, but I guess the idea wasn't so great after all. Okay, so these guys are also starting to waver over here. These are d.simon2's troops here, and those are his Ferguson riflemen. They're getting hit by the Wind Jaegers. But he advanced his line infantry into closer proximity to d.simon's Wind Jaegers over here. So these Wind Jaegers aren't going to do so well when they're this close to the British line infantry. Over on the right, Napoleon's pouring on the pressure with his Wind Jaegers, and d.simon's going to launch a similar attack here on this wing with his cavalry into the Wind Jaegers over here. And here he managed to get a successful charge into the Wind Jaegers. He's going to chop these guys down with his cavalry. So I'm not sure why his first cavalry assault failed, but it did. And he's also going to drive into these guys too. He's going to try to drive the second unit of Wind Jaegers back. So there's going to be some sword clash in here. Alright, now the life guards are starting to waver now. So I guess once the Wind Jaegers start to pour the fire on those cavalry, then it's lights out for them. Alright, so d.simon has lost his cavalry for the most part. He has 1 squadron of a general's bodyguard, but that's it. And Napoleon has yet to take out the bulk of his cavalry, who are still hidden in the back with in the forest. Alright, so d.simon's moving up his line infantry here. He wants to engage the Wind Jaegers here. This is a pretty good idea, because it would appear that that Napoleon doesn't have his guys on skirmish mode, or at least they're not, you know, falling back like they could have been. Alright, so now Napoleon's taking out his huge cavalry force from the forest here, and these are there are 5 units of them, 5 squadrons of heavy cavalry and some light cavalry. And over on the right here, this is Napoleon's Wind Jaegers. They're still skirmishing with the line infantry and the grenadiers of d.simon2. So Napoleon's going to try to keep his distance from those line infantry. Because at close range, the line infantry are are a little bit better. Okay. So it really doesn't look that well for Napoleon's troops. Like right here, he launched his cavalry right into this British square right here. And these are the guys who drove back the Windjagers by charging into them. And I guess Napoleon responded by charging in with his cavalry, but seeing that, then d.simon put his guys into square. And right here there's some game lag. I know it wasn't me, because I have great connection. So it was probably one of the other guys. Alright, so right about here, Napoleon should have saw his horses getting butchered here, so he should have withdrew his horses. So we're gonna watch this mayhem up close for as long as the cavalry's engaged here. Yeah, whenever you see the guys formed into a square like that, it's usually a bad idea to attack like that. Alright, so Napoleon's taking out some of his Windjagers. These guys came down the extreme flank. Okay, right here, Napoleon decided to launch a huge cavalry assault right into the center of the British lines, and this is where the Grenadiers were stationed. So that's 3 cavalry squadrons launching right into that Grenadier unit right there. The Grenadiers were composed of the really big guys in European armies. They're very tall and whatnot. Alright, so Napoleon did not like what his cavalry charge was achieving there, so he's going to withdraw his cavalry. And the British are forming into a more defensive line here. Except for these guys, that British square right there, they are isolated after they repulsed that cavalry assault. They are now being butchered from all sides by the Windjagers. And the Windjagers, they were pretty much like the frontiersmen of Austria. Kind of like I guess the country boys of Austria. They were marksmen, they were hunters. And yeah, these guys aren't going to fight in the conventional manner. So they're going to use like hit and run tactics, and they're going to skirmish. Okay. So it really doesn't look that well for the Austrians, at least in my opinion. Alright, over here, the Windjagers, they did not retreat from these British troops coming at them. So they're going to stand their ground against the British light infantry against the general's bodyguard of Britain. So that can't be a good thing for the Windjagers, who are pretty much just light infantry. Alright, now Napoleon's taking 5 squadrons of cavalry. He's going to rush them out here. And I thought he was going to do a frontal charge again, but he did not. He decided to scoot around the infantry there, and he's going to strike behind and to the flanks. So this is a very decisive moment here for Napoleon. And it's also very decisive for d.simon too, because if d.simon would have stopped those horses right there, then it would have been lights out for Napoleon. But unfortunately, d.simon didn't really have a good response to that, just because Napoleon launched his cavalry very intelligently. Like, he picked a very weak spot in the British lines there, and he avoided the front lines of the British army, which couldn't be avoided by d.simon. And also, d.simon didn't really have any cavalry force anymore, except for his general's bodyguard. So that cavalry assault was very well timed, and it also disrupted the British lines. You can see some of the Austrian cavalry, they are starting to waver, but it did manage to unsettle the British lines, which is probably what Napoleon was going for anyways. So now that the British line is pretty much incoherent now, he's going to be able to pick off these British infantry units one at a time. And over here, the British line infantry right here, they were trying to charge after those horses. It might have been a better idea to go into square, but then again, the Austrians could have just withdrew and just shot that square to pieces with these Windjagers. So d.simon really didn't have much of a choice right there. So d.simon's playing pretty well right now, but he's being outplayed by his opponent. And really, I thought Napoleon was going to lose this battle in the beginning, but now it looks like Napoleon is slowly but surely gaining the upper hand here. Like, now the British are playing into the Austrians' plans. So all around, the British are getting destroyed here by the Austrians. And look at all the blinking British flags. And right now, the what's-his-face, d.simon is going to surrender, seeing that his army's pretty much destroyed as a military force. So I'll let you read the results. Good game to both players.